Essentially, there's three main things that you want to understand about a given chord. So here's just an example. We'll take an E chord. This is a C-shaped E. First thing you want to learn is the arpeggio. The second thing you're going to want to understand is the pentatonic scale for that shape. Finally, you're going to want to understand the major scale and how that applies to that same shape. I'm going to be taking these three concepts and walking you through them, and it's predicated by a short from Guthrie Trapp. As the title suggests in his video, it's time to get serious. My name is Keith. Welcome back to the channel. Alright, so now that I have your attention, we are going to be discussing a little bit about Guthrie Trapp and his kind of way of thinking about the fretboard. So I'm going to go ahead and break down a little snippet of a fairly recent video that he put out that pretty much does exactly what I'm going to be doing here in this video, which is explaining three core concepts that you kind of need to know for each given cage shape. Now, I do want to start this whole thing off by actually showing you that clip of Guthrie Trapp's video, and furthermore, the reason that I'm actually doing this stuff is because I consider Guthrie Trapp one of the best guitar players there is, so this comes with nothing but admiration for him. He has wonderful videos, very excellent videos, but the guy is just so good and he moves so fast. It's really easy to miss things that are in his videos, even his shorts. So what I'm attempting to do here is decipher that and convey that as best to you as I can in a more digestible way for somebody like me, so hopefully it helps you out too. So without further ado, here is that clip. It's a pretty short clip, and he goes through a lot really quick, but I'll break everything down and throw some charts up for you. So let's go ahead and take a look.
All right, this is exactly why, in sequence, why chord shapes are so important. Not a little bit important, but ultimately important. Here's the C-shaped E chord. Here is the arpeggio. The pentatonic. The major scale. Then all the licks you want to be able to play are connected chromatically through those. All right.
Okay, so that's a lot to unpack, but really it isn't, so let's go ahead and break it down. As I stated in the intro and what Guthrie just stated here, it's pretty important, really important to understand the three things: the arpeggios, the pentatonic scale, and the major scale. So in this example, we're using the C-shaped E. So let's go ahead and take a look at that on the fretboard. I'll show you how we arrived at that C-shaped E, and we'll run through the three concepts. Okay, so this is a C-shaped E right here. Just imagine you have the C chord and you're scooching it up here, and you're starting right here on the 4th fret. Would simulate the nut of the guitar. But how is that exactly an E chord? It's simple, it just follows the cage system. So if we look at an E up here, this is an open E. The next letter that follows will be a D in the cage system, right? So this is an E as well. Here how it's the same. And then the next letter will be a C. That's an E chord. E chord. Just a different version of the E. Alright, so that's how we got there. So let's go ahead and take a look at the arpeggios. So a major arpeggio consists of the 1, 3, and the 5 of a chord. So let's go ahead and throw up the chart, and I'll show you exactly what those are. Alright, so I went ahead and threw up the chart here, and we are starting, the way that Guthrie Trapp did it was, we started with that 1, 3, and 5, but he's starting right here on the 5, which is the 7th fret of the E string, then going to the 1, which is the root. That's our E. So it's 5, 1, 3, 5. 1, 3, 5. 5, 3, 1. 5, 3, 1, 5, 1. Now that's a pattern that I do recommend that you memorize. should probably memorize all the patterns in this video. And on top of that, you should probably learn them all for each shape, but the quick tip is it doesn't matter if you know all the letters or the actual notes for each corresponding arpeggio. If you know the pattern, you don't have to necessarily know the notes, because when you're playing a solo or anything like that, you're not thinking in your head, I'm going to go from the A to the F sharp. You know, your brain is probably thinking something more along the lines of a pattern. You're not necessarily thinking in that way. At least I'm not. So that's why it's kind of important to memorize those patterns. Now, if you're wondering how we got to those arpeggios and how I identified that 1, 3, and 5, that all is based off of the major scale and their scale degrees. So we're only playing the root, the third, and the fifth for a chord. Again, the video that I'm going to go ahead and link up here does cover all that. Let's look at the pentatonic scale. Alright, so that's the pentatonic scale. Let's go ahead and throw up the diagram and run through it one time real quick. Again, as Guthrie showed in the video, he's not starting at the root for the pentatonic scale. He's starting at the lowest possible position as far as tonality goes. So we're starting on the E string, 4th fret to the 7th fret. And then the same thing on the A string. Then we're back to our root right here. So it's... And then we're going to go 4th fret of the D string, 6th fret, 4th fret of the G, 6th fret of the G, the 5th fret of the B string, then the 7th fret of the B string, 4th fret of the E string, and then 7th fret. It's always important to end on that root. So that is the major pentatonic scale pattern for the C shape. Finally, the next chord concept that you're going to want to learn and understand is the major scale, which, in my opinion, the most valuable scale, because the arpeggios and the pentatonic scale comes directly from that major scale. So let's hop down and take a look. Alright, so that major scale, again, we're not starting on the root on this one, at least Guthrie didn't. He's starting up here, so we'll just roll through that with the chart up and take a look. So that's the 4th fret of the low E string, 5th fret, and then the 7th fret, and then the 4th fret of the A string, and then the 6th fret of the A string, that's our 7th, and then we're back at the root. And then from there, that's our root, 7th fret of the A string, 4th fret of the D, 6th fret of the D, 7th fret of the D, 4th fret of the G, 6th fret of the G, skipping down to the B string, that's the 4th fret, that's our 7th, then back to the root. Then we continue on in this shape as far as we can go, so that'll be the 7th fret of the B, 4th fret of the E, 5th fret, and then 7th fret of the E, and then we'll work our way back down. And on that root note, it's important to kind of train your ear, and then you might as well hit the chord while you're at it. Alright, so those are the 3 concepts. Run through those in at least that C shape for this video. If you want me to run through the same exact process through every one of the shapes, let me know in the comments and I'll be more than happy to put that up for you. Alright, so let's go to the fun part, the lick that he had at the end. Now here's a disclaimer, he has a lick at the beginning of the video that I saw and I was like, no way I'm going to transpose that. That'll take me forever and I already am behind. I cannot keep up with Guthrie Trapp, I just can't do it that quick. So he did a little bit of an easier little lick at the end, so I'll run through that in slow mode throw up the tab and we'll run through it. It's a fun way in an exercise to run through and use all these concepts in a kind of lick form, as you will. All right, so with the tab up, I'm going to run through that lick slowly and then walk through everything step by step. So all right, so basically what he's doing here, and it's going to help with the tabs up as I walk through it, is going on the G string from the 4th fret, sliding up to the 6th, and then on the 5th fret of the B string, we're going to hit that, and then the 4th fret of the E string. And then from there, we're going to slide up from the 5th fret of the E string up to the 7th. So at the beginning, we have this. All right, from there, he's walking back down on that E string from the 7th to the 4th. And then he's sliding up from the 3rd to the 4th fret on that high E string. And then walking down from there on the B string 5th fret, G string 6th fret, and then walking down on that G string from the 6th to the 5th to the 4th. So right there we have this so far. From there, we're going to walk down as if we're walking down that major scale. So that would be the 7th fret of the D string, the 6th fret of the D string, 4th fret of the D string. It's on a major scale, right? That's what he's using and that's what he's incorporating there. Then he's going to the root. That's the A string, 7th fret. Then he does this. I don't know if it was a mistake or he did it on purpose. I think he did it on purpose. He goes to the flat 7th. So that would be kind of the dominant 7th, right? This would be the 7th, the 6th fret of the A string, because that's right before, that precedes the root. But if you flatten that 7th, it becomes a dominant 7th. This is the major 7th, dominant 7th. So he goes from the root and he hits that. He kind of hesitates in the video. I think he thinks about it for a very split fraction of a second and then just continues to walk down from that dominant 7th, the flat 7th, to the 4th fret. Then he goes to the E and just chromatically walks down from the 7th, 6, 5 on that low E string, then slides up on that E string from the 4th to the 5th fret, hits the 7th, open E, and then he hits that chord. So altogether it's... And that's how you play that lick. If you want to learn the one at the beginning of his video, good luck. Take a video of it and show me. So I hope that was helpful, and if it was, please think about liking, subscribing, and please share this with anybody that you think might be interested in it. I know that Guthrie Trapp does have a lot of videos. I hope he's not mad at me for putting out videos like this or anything like that. I'm just trying to make it more digestible for myself and for people that are similar to me, and for other people that may not know all the concepts. I think the biggest part here is taking what he has in his videos, slowing it down, and kind of analyzing it. Or you could just wait for somebody like me to do the hard work and put out a video. It doesn't matter. Actually, I would appreciate that. All right, with that said, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks. It's pretty much perfect, the pick. That's all I'm talking about.